Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Fairly Good Show. Today, we're going to be talking about Ready Player One. It's a movie review. First half will be spoiler free, and the second half will have lots and lots of spoilers. It's actually not a lot with this movie, but we'll go over it anyways. So, Ready Player One. What is it? According to IMDb, it is when the creator of a virtual reality world called The Oasis dies. He releases a video in which he challenges all Oasis users to find his Easter egg, which will give the finder his fortune. That's a pretty good summary, actually. It's in the near future where the main protagonist lives in a kind of poor, rundown area, and everyone escapes into the virtual reality Oasis world to live and actually have a good life. So think of it just like virtual reality now, except in the future. So you put on the goggles and you have a suit, and there's different versions of it where some can feel pain and some can't, but it's essentially you're going into a virtual reality world. You can design your character whatever you want him to look like, your avatar, and then interact with people in any way that you want to. So as far as the creator dying, and then he puts an Easter egg, and everyone's trying to find different keys to get to the end of the Easter egg to get the keys to the Oasis and then own it. So that's what the protagonist is doing. It's kind of I don't want to say run-of-the-mill story, but it is. It's very... I would compare it to like any other video game movie in being that it's not super creative. I know it's based on a book, but it's essentially a video game movie. It's a whole bunch of different Easter eggs all put into this virtual reality world where he's playing in a video game. So that's what it is. It's probably the best video game movie that's ever been released, but it's not saying a whole lot because video game movies are awful. So many spoilers. It's basically car porn. Yeah, it's basically Easter egg the movie. It's just filled with everything you could possibly think of. The director Steven Spielberg, who did a really spectacular job with it, but the story itself is just kind of, if you strip away all the Easter eggs and everything else that's going on with it, it's very just kind of meh. It's a coming of age hero story fighting against corporate and beating them. Obviously, like, spoilers, he wins. It's kind of obvious, right? It's a movie. So, but it's good. Okay, so as far as talking about the virtual reality world in itself, that was done amazingly. Like, that was done one of the best as far as like the virtual reality, the CGI, the way they use it in the actual world is incredible. You get pulled into that world and you feel like you're a part of it so much that when they leave it, you can really feel the difference. And obviously that's what the movie was going for, but it's so different that it's kind of like, put me back in that world. I want to see more of it. I want to see what's going on with it, because there's just, like I said, it's just filled with Easter eggs. There's so much to look at on screen that you have to watch it probably 3 or 4 times to catch half of what's in the movie. So, but that's pretty much it as far as the story goes without ruining any like big plot points. It's fun to see how people, when they pop in and out of the world, it's fun to see how they interact with the real live versions of the avatars. Because a lot of people meet like on the internet in the virtual reality world, they meet first, and then they eventually meet up in the real world. And it's funny to kind of see how the interactions are so awkward and different because they're in the real world. Some of the things they did as far as creating that virtual like world, they did some of the backstory and explaining how it's evolved from the video games we have today to the virtual reality world that we have later on, which was cool without giving away any spoilers, but that was neat. And I don't really know what else to talk about without spoiling it. It was good. I'm gonna scroll through and just see if I can see anything that like really sticks out to me. It's in the year 2045 too. There you go. I knew it was in the future. I just forgot when. In the Oasis, you can go anywhere, do anything, be anyone. The only limits are your own imagination. But yeah. I would rate the movie, so out of 10, with 5 being very average, and 10 being, an example of what a movie should be, as far as like the best it can be. Not perfect, but the best in my opinion. I would rate it a solid 7. It was definitely above average because of the way the world was created. but the story itself was very average. If you took that story and put it in, it could be put in any other movie, and it wasn't. The story itself wasn't done that well. It was just the world that was created around the story was above average. So much so that I probably would have given it an 8 or a 9 if the story itself was a little more original. But it was definitely a solid 7. So yeah, everyone that's watching that doesn't want to hang out for the spoilers, thank you so much for being here, and I will see you guys in the next movie review. Oh, and go look at the thumbnail because it's going to be great. Don't forget to look at it. Okay, so everyone that's hanging out for the spoilers, welcome back. So why was it so humdrum? If you guys have seen it, let me know in chat, first of all, because I want to know if anyone's seen it. If you're going to go see it in theaters, I recommend doing it. I don't think it's worth seeing it in IMAX because the set pieces, like the big set pieces, weren't anything to write home about. They weren't. It was interesting to see, but it wasn't worth seeing it 4 times as big as a movie theater screen. I would go see it in movie, like in the theater, for $6 to $10 if you can see it like during lunchtime or something, or see it for $10. It's worth it. But yeah, it's good. It's decent. It's above average, like I said. People are peacing out because of the spoilers. It's okay. But yeah, as far as the Easter eggs, like I said, you would have to watch it 4 times. The spoilers word's kind of off. Where do you want it? You want it up here? You're so picky. So let me read the rest of this. With immense, the Oasis was created by the brilliant and eccentric James Halliday, who left his immense fortune and total control of the Oasis to the winner of a 3-part contest he designed to find a worthy heir. When Wade conquers the first challenge of the reality-bending treasure hunt, he and his friends, aka the High Five, are hurled into a fantastical universe of discovery and danger to save the Oasis. And that's exactly what they do. So it's a band of unlikely heroes working against a corporation that was the corporation that's owned by someone that used to work for James Halliday, and everyone's fighting to get through these Easter eggs to own the Oasis. And corporate wants to own it, obviously, to then pump a whole bunch of ads into it and make a bunch of money off of it and ruin the experience that was originally created. And all the gamers are fighting against it. All the normal people that are make it Comic Sans, make it look ironic. So they're fighting against the corporation. And so there's some funny moments where, like, you see a bunch of guys in, like, backwards baseball hats, and they're just dressed up like early 2000s guys, and their avatars are Master Chiefs. Like, a whole bunch of Master Chiefs just running. Like, you watch them, like, turn into them, and it was like, oh, that's funny, because that's what Halo's kind of known for. But in and of itself, it's very blah. Good conquers evil. They kind of hint at the end that when the High Five win, they hint that the main character is going to shut down the Oasis, and I thought that was I was like, please don't go there. They were basically like hinting at it the entire movie, like video games are bad and virtual reality is bad and we should live in the real world and blah 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 blah. And I was like, I'm like, it's going to end with them shutting everything down and going back to the real world and restarting, because the Oasis is really cool. Like, it's awesome. And the real world is so shitty, probably because the Oasis is really good. So they were hinting at it, though, and I'm like, oh, is he gonna... there's a button at the very end on the wall, and he's like... James Halliday is like, hey, or it's a clone of him because he's dead. Or like a replica or a hologram or something of him because he's dead. And he's like, hey, this button will shut down the entire Oasis. And the main character basically trips and almost falls and almost hits it. And I was like, I'm like, that was probably an ending originally, and people weren't happy with it, or they were just trying to toy with your emotions. I was like, that's so stupid. Don't do that. Like, don't shut down the entire thing and just be like, virtual reality is bad and we need to live in the moment, in the present, in the real world. But they didn't do it. They kind of went a softer approach to it and said, hey, we're going to shut it down. I think it was 2 days a week so that people can focus on themselves and the real world and live in the world. I was like, okay, that's not bad. But overall, one of my favorite parts of the entire movie was when they went into The Shining. there was one of the Easter eggs was James Halliday went to on a date and he was watching The Shining with his I think a girlfriend that he was going on a date with. It's been a little bit since I've seen it too, so I'm trying to remember some of the stuff. But he went on a date and they had to go into like basically the set of The Shining and it was all CGI, but the way it was done was really cool. There's some of the biggest moments, like the blood coming down the hallways and all that stuff, was just like amazing. So some of the set pieces, as far as like the CGI in the Oasis, that was my favorite parts of the entire thing. But like I said, not worth seeing it in IMAX if you're on the fence about it. But that's pretty much it, guys. If you guys have any questions, be sure to talk in the comments below if you're on YouTube, and I will see you guys in the next movie review. Goodbye. Okay, we're probably good.